All right, today we're diving into something pretty fascinating and honestly a little provocative. It's a draft framework, a proposal for how we as a society might organize ourselves when AGI is here. Now, this isn't a prediction, not at all. Think of it more as a conversation starter for a future that's, well, it's getting here a lot faster than we think. You know, the entire idea really revolves around this one single massive question. Once we create an intelligence that can literally outthink us in pretty much every way, who's in charge? And maybe more importantly, how are they in charge? This whole framework is an attempt to sketch out an answer before the technology just goes ahead and answers it for us.
And this quote right here, it gets to the very heart of the stakes. What they're saying is, if we do nothing, a structure is going to emerge anyway. It's inevitable. But it'll be one that AGI optimizes for pure, cold efficiency. And that might just ignore all the human stuff, like dignity, character, and values. This framework is trying to get ahead of that.
So here's our game plan for breaking this all down. First, we'll tackle the AGI challenge itself. Then we'll look at the proposed framework for responsibility, explain those symbolic roles, check out the 2 ways you can participate, and finally, wrap up with the open invitation that this whole document really is. Okay, so let's kick things off with the AGI challenge. I mean, why even propose a hierarchy? It's a pretty loaded word, right? But the document argues that you first have to really get your head around the scale of the problem before the proposed solution can make any sense. Just consider the scope we're talking about. AGI is projected to become the main coordinating layer for the very systems that run our world. We're talking economics, global logistics, the flow of information itself. Its influence won't be in some little niche corner. It's going to be a whole new foundation for society, optimizing huge institutions and supporting our most critical decisions.
And that's the crucial point right there. Organization is going to happen one way or another. The choice we have right now is whether we even try to embed our values into that organization or if we just let it default to a machine logic that might not have our best interests at its core. It's a choice between intention and, well, accident.
So how does this framework actually propose to build its structure? Well, the core idea is captured in its founding principle: separation, not supremacy.
And this is a really crucial distinction. This framework isn't about creating some new ruling class. It's about defining functional roles. The whole goal is to separate the power to do things, the technical nuts and bolts, from the moral authority to decide why we should do them in the first place. The hierarchy is about your job, your function, not about your personal worth.
It's so important to remember this isn't some decree from on high. It's a conversation starter. The document says it over and over again. This is a draft. It's an attempt to break the silence and make sure that the future we end up building is one we've actually talked about and chosen together. All right, now we get to the part that's got everybody talking, these symbolic roles. It's really important to see these not as literal job titles, but as metaphors, as symbols for specific functions and values inside the system. So the Queen's symbol is all about moral authority. It draws on this historical idea of stability, of duty, of preserving what's good. This role is meant to be a moral anchor, a reference point for character and restraint. And they make it crystal clear, this is a symbolic role and has nothing to do with gender. The King's symbol, on the other hand, represents a huge shift. I mean, think about it. In a world run by AGI's logic, traditional physical, coercive power just becomes less relevant. So this role is totally reimagined as supportive and ceremonial, a guardian of the offline human world. It's basically a redefinition of power for a brand new era. This shows you the system's checks and balances. There's this layer of spiritual or ethical scholars who act as guardians. They don't rule, but they watch. Their job is to identify leaders based on character and, this is critical, they can actually suspend their influence if core principles are violated. It's a way to make sure that technical skill never gets to operate without a moral conscience. Okay, so how can individuals and families actually participate in this? The framework lays out 2 distinct but, and this is important, equally honorable paths: continuity or competition. So on one side, you've got the continuity path. This is all about preserving legacy, culture in a more private, offline way. Then, on the other side, you've got the competition path. This is for jumping into a transparent public arena to contribute and innovate, all driven by merit. The difference is pretty clear, right? The legacy path is about stability and privacy, protecting what's been built. The open path is all about public performance, but there's no inheritance and you run the risk of public failure. This choice is really fundamental. It acknowledges that value doesn't just come from public achievement, but also from the quiet preservation of culture. The key takeaway is that you get to choose how you contribute. So, with all this focus on humans, you might be wondering, what's the AGI itself actually doing? Well, its role is explicitly defined as assistive. It's a super powerful tool for understanding the world. It gathers information, finds patterns, shows us the likely outcomes of our choices. Basically, it supports our ability to make better decisions. And just as important, maybe even more important, is what the AGI does not do. It is not the kingmaker. It does not issue moral judgments. It does not decide who should be in charge. And it cannot just overrule human consensus. This is the system's ultimate firewall. Human judgment stays front and center always.
And this brings us right back to the ultimate purpose of this whole document. It's not being presented as some finished, polished product. It's the exact opposite. It's an open invitation for everyone to collaborate.
The reason for putting this out there for everyone to see is simple, and it's powerful. In the age of AGI, secret plans for how the world should be run would just create fear and pushback. By making it open, the author is inviting people to participate, which is the only way to create a system that's flexible enough and trusted enough to actually work.
This quote really says it all, doesn't it? Success isn't this specific model being adopted. Success is starting a conversation that's so good, so robust, that an even better model comes out of it. The goal is the dialogue itself, not about winning some argument.
And that's the final, clearest statement of what this is all about. This isn't a power play. It's not a command. It's a humble first draft, a sketch thrown out into the public square, hoping that everyone, from technologists to ethicists to regular people, will pick it up and help make it better. And the document leaves us with this final challenge. It's not just for the tech leaders or the policymakers. It's for all of us. The technology is coming. The world is going to be reorganized. The only real question left is whether we're going to be active architects of that new world or just passive observers while it gets built around us.